All right, this is part 2 of the Elon Musk interview at CPAC. If you missed the first one, I'll leave the link in the description for you. Let's pick up where we left off.
In a room, and this target, the wall, the roofs, and the floor are all targets. So it's like you're gonna close your eyes and go shoot in any direction, because you can't miss, you know.
He's discussing how easy it is to find waste, fraud, and abuse in the government. All you have to do is basically close your eyes and shoot in any direction, and you're going to find it.
So it's pretty wild. Like you just push on things a little bit, and you save billions of dollars. Like just a little bit, you know. It's wild.
It's scary, isn't it? It's
really that's why I say it, it really is underrated. If you add caring and competence, how much things improve.
Yeah.
And you know, and we just find so many totally crazy things, which, you know, we're sharing with the public. We post everything we learn, you know, just you know, so you can see it. You know, what do you?
I don't believe that they post everything they learn. Everything. There's nothing that's left out. I just don't believe that.
It's like, isn't it like but totally wild? Like we just did like a check the database on Social Security. Like it says how many alive Americans eligible for Social Security are there? And according to the database, it's over 400 million. And we're like, wait a second.
And how many are getting?
How old are they again?
Yeah.
And then like we found like one person in there is like 360 years old. I'm like, what, did they know Ben Franklin
100 years
or
before the
something?
revolution.
I mean, you know, America didn't exist before at that time. Like so.
Yeah, we were colonies.
You know, maybe it's just me, but I think it's a red flag. I don't know.
But are there indications that there were checks going to those people or any of those people?
Well, yeah.
That's, I guess, the question, right? I mean, I get the Social Security Administration is dumb, but are they paying these people? Are they that dumb? I don't know.
A bunch of money is going out from the Social Security Administration, and in fact, from all entitlements programs.
$72 billion in waste in like 7 years. That's $10 billion a year.
Well, I think the
fraudulent payments.
The rough estimate from General Government Accountability Office is over $500 billion of fraud a year. $500 billion.
And how long at a time?
Per year.
Per year? On Social Security?
No, on all...
On all government?
On all entitlements?
All entitlements.
All entitlements, yeah.
Yeah.
It sort of actually makes sense when you look at the thing from a top level and say, like, okay, the $7 trillion of spending by the government, what percentage do you think is fraudulent? Okay, exactly. Like, a conservative estimate of the $7 trillion would be 10%. Conservative.
Probably a little higher than that, yeah.
Exactly.
Feels like a quarter out of every dollar, right?
But if the fraud's only 10% of $7 trillion, you've got $700 billion of fraud.
Yeah.
And by the way, it's like really easy to take advantage of the federal government. It's very easy. So.
Very easy. Look at COVID.
Yes.
Everybody got rich during COVID. I mean, look at all these scammers. I mean, it's unbelievable.
It looks like, in terms of the COVID payments, there was something like $200 billion of COVID payment fraud taken by fraudsters out of the country.
Out of the country, yeah.
That's like I think, listen, if there's going to be fraud, it should at least be domestic.
Yeah.
So, you know.
Let me tell you what Doge says. Matter of fact, let me bring it over to the screen. This is not Doge, but this is Grok. Grok is the AI from Elon Musk's platform X. Let me just show you, because I asked the question while he was talking, is what Doge is saying about Social Security abuse true? And let me just give you the conclusion of the matter here, because there's a lot to read and I don't want to take the time in this video, but it says, and I may do a separate video on it, but it's very interesting. In short, Doge's claim contains a kernel of truth. Their claims contain a kernel of truth. Fraud and errors happen, but the dramatic scope, millions of dead people who are over 100 years old cashing checks, doesn't align with evidence. Most over 100 records reflect administrative glitches or unreported deaths, not active abuse. Without Doge releasing detailed verified data, which Elon Musk just said, we release everything, must not be true. Grok is not picking up on it. Grok, again, is the AI that was generated by the techs over at X, Elon Musk's company, promised but not yet delivered as of today, February 21st, 2025. their assertions remain overstated and inconclusive, according to Elon Musk's own AI. The Social Security Administration systems need modernization, and fraud deserves scrutiny, but the, quote, huge problem Musk describes appears more speculative than proven. That's from Elon Musk's own AI platform.
But they managed to get $200 billion out of the country. I'm like, what? Didn't we notice that?
Let me ask you, let's do immigration.
So that was a fact check. Essentially, what I just did was a fact check on Elon Musk by Elon Musk. Basically, Grok is saying Elon Musk is lying. That's big.
Here for a second. You know, there's this move now that Trump's latest thing is that he cut.
And don't get me wrong, I don't doubt that there's massive waste, fraud, and abuse in the Social Security system. The Social Security system is a scam and was a scam from day one. So please don't misunderstand me. But when you say something, you better bring the receipts. And it looks like, according to Elon's AI, he ain't bringing the receipts.
And it cut funding, any kind of money that ends up in the hands of illegal immigrants. So if you're funding these sanctuary cities and states, that's how they thrive, right? They're paying for these hotels. That's all federal money. If you got a hotel in your city in New York, you got all these hotels full of migrants, that's not state money. That's the feds are covering that. He's going to cut all that. It's really hard to deport 15 million people. And it seems like the move now is, let's see if we, especially at the rate that we're going, it seems like the move now is, let's make it so that they leave on their own. If there's no longer a dole system for them, if they can't get their hands on hotel rooms and money, they're going to go back, especially if there's no work.
Well, I think it's really important for people to understand that the Biden administration sent any possible money that they could if there was money they could send to facilitate and amplify illegal immigration, they sent it. Okay, they took money from FEMA meant for helping Americans in distress and sent that money to luxury hotels for illegal immigrants in New York. That is an outrage. They actually did that. And not only that, even after the president signed an executive order saying it has to stop, the FEMA, the sort of whatever deep state bureaucrats still pressed send on $80 million last week to go to the Roosevelt Hotel in New York and other places last week. And now they're mad that it got stopped, and they're like trying to sue to have it be restored. It's like the gumption is unreal.
You think they're creating a new voter class? Do you think that was the goal when they opened up the borders for 4 years? Create a new voter class, get them citizenship, get them in, green cards, vote.
A lot of these things, like, you don't actually have to assume some grand conspiracy. You just need to look at basic incentives.
Benefits.
So if the incentives, fundamentally, if the probability that an illegal is going to vote Democrat at some point, whether it's cheating, but eventually they can become citizens. But if the probability is like 80, 90%, you just look at California, which is supermajority Dem, and then the incentive is to maximize the number of illegals in the country. That is why the Biden administration was pushing to get in as many illegals as possible and spend every dollar possible to get as many, because every one of them is a customer, every one of them is a voter. So the whole thing was a giant voter importation scam.
Pretty obvious.
Very obvious. And then moreover, then they actually created the CVP1 Border App thing, where they were, which is like where they would literally fly people in. It's not like like at the point at which people are being flown in at your expense.
We're sending planes,
like building a wall
up,
doesn't
fly
matter.
them over the border.
Yeah, they're literally flying them in.
No other country in the world would do something like this. Nobody is this stupid.
Yeah, and then we found that it was like a $100 million contract given to some guy in London, actually, oddly enough, for the CVP1 app. So
let me just say, Grok also says, with regard to this, my question was, did Biden take money from FEMA to give to luxury hotels to house illegal immigrants, as Musk claims? It says, this is Grok. So did Biden take FEMA disaster money for luxury hotels? No definitive evidence supports this. The $59 million was SSP funds, and SSP are shelter and services programs. And it says not DRF, and hotels weren't luxury by most standards. And the DRF is the Disaster Relief Fund. It says Musk's claim amplifies a real payment, but mischaracterizes its source and nature, possibly for political effects. So even Grok is calling Elon Musk out. Still, the lack of transparency around FEMA's exact timing and the swift firings leave room for skepticism, though not proof of deeper mismanagement. Without Doge releasing specifics, the accusation remains partly speculative. So Grok is calling Elon Musk out, but not going so far as to say he's lying. Hey, all this is speculation. There is no evidence supporting his claim. Very interesting.
So they're flying illegals into the swing states.
Yeah.
And if you've got like a margin of victory of maybe 20,000 people, and you fly 200,000 illegals into that state, it's not going to be a swing state for long.
Change the numbers eventually.
Yeah.
Maybe in 4 or 8 years, you're talking about perpetual
It's just a matter
power.
of time.
It's a long game.
It's just a matter of time.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it might take like a year for an asylum seeker or something to get a green card, and then 5 years for the citizenship. It's an investment that is guaranteed to pay off.
Yeah.
Just a question of when.
They all remember who brought them in and who left them here.
Exactly.
Exactly. I want to go back. I want to talk about Biden.
Never mind the fact that it's not an election process, it's a C-election process. If somebody becomes the president, it doesn't depend on migrants. It doesn't depend on illegal immigrants. What it depends on is the Zio International Banking Cartel, who controls the strings of the puppets and the levers in the control room. If you become the president of the United States or a congressman or a senator, we already know they're owned by APAC. If they're owned by APAC, it doesn't matter who voted for them. It doesn't matter who takes that seat or gets into that position. But they're not going to talk about this because that upsets the apple cart.
I think a lot of people don't quite appreciate that this was an actual real scam at scale to tilt the scales of democracy in America.
It's treason.
Yeah.
One more Biden question. I remember when they were
treason. These are serious words. I have no doubt that this is going on, but bring the receipts. When you make the claim, you got to back the claim up.
do the electric car stuff. They would always try to box you out, even though you have the only electric car anybody wants.
Yeah.
You said, I think this week, that you think that Biden left these astronauts up in space because he didn't want to give you an opportunity to save them, make NASA look bad, make the private sector look better, make you look good. You believe that?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So, of course.
I kind of agree.
He's
why would you want to let you
doing
help them
this.
come down when you're supporting the president?
The Biden administration was attacking me next level.
Yeah.
The Department of Justice, or Injustice under the Biden administration, was,
Yeah.
they were suing SpaceX. They're suing SpaceX for not hiring asylum seekers. And we're like, but it's actually illegal for us to hire asylum seekers because rocket technology is covered under ITAR rules, which means it's an advanced weapons technology.
Yeah.
And so we can only hire permanent residents or or citizens.
Right.
So we're damned if we do, damned if we don't. And we said, how can they sue us for not hiring asylum seekers when it's actually illegal for us to do so?
Yeah.
But nonetheless, there was a big Department of Justice or Injustice case about this against SpaceX. So obviously it was an antagonistic situation. And those astronauts were supposed to be up there for 8 days, and now they're up there for 8 months. Does that make any sense? And we obviously could have brought them back sooner, but they didn't want anyone who supported President Trump to look good, basically.
Yeah.
That's the issue.
A lot of them are saying right now that the reason that you want to get into Social Security, that you want to get into all of these into Treasury and things like that, is that you're looking for personal information and you're trying to make more money.
Yeah.
I've never met anybody as rich as you that cared less about money in my life. Every time I hear a story about you, you're sleeping on a couch of some other guy in a city that you could buy the entire thing.
Yeah,
I don't think you care about money, do you?
No, actually, listen, like if I steal some Social Security, I can finally buy nice things.
Yeah.
You know?
And on that same question, they're also talking about you guys are going to end Social Security, you're going to end Medicare, you're going to end these things. I don't imagine that conversation has been had with the president, and that's the plan.
No, in fact, the actions that we're taking with the support of the president and the support of the agencies, is what will save Medicare, what will save Social Security.
Yeah.
And because if the country goes insolvent, if all the money is just spent on paying interest on debt, there's no money left for anything.
Yeah.
So that's the reason I'm doing this, is because I was looking at the big picture here, and it's like, man, our debt's getting out of control. The interest payments, the interest on the national debt now exceeds the entire Defense Department budget.
$1 trillion a year in
Yes.
interest. Just to carry the money that we owe is $1 trillion a year.
Yes.
That is unbelievable.
And rising rapidly. So like, a country is no different from a person. A country overspends, country goes bankrupt. Same as a person who overspends goes bankrupt. So it's not like optional to solve these things. It's essential. So
We're going to go bankrupt.
Yes.
We are. Couple minutes left here. Russia. There's a huge push from the administration.
Yeah. People like sometimes like
to end this war.
say like,
Yeah.
I'm a bought asset of Putin.
Yeah.
I'm like, he can't afford me.
Yeah. I think you're worth more than Russia.
Think about it.
So you're trying to end a war. Ending a war always means you have to compromise, you have to negotiate with an enemy or an adversary. That's just what it is. And right now, they are lambasting the president for trying a different method to a war that they haven't been able to end for 3.5 years or 3 years.
Yeah.
They're saying Trump's blaming Zelensky for the invasion. How do you process all of the negativity toward him for trying to end this war?
Guess what he's not going to say? Well, you got to understand, all wars are bankster wars. If we eliminate the banksters and the fiat currency Ponzi scheme that they've got going, then we eliminate all wars, because you can't fund a war unless you have funny money. Nobody is willing to throw real money at a war when the best you can get out of it is to come back in one piece. He's not going to say that.
Well, first of all, I think we should have empathy for the people dying at the front lines. That's the most important thing. And people have been dying, it's like, how many more years is this supposed to go on?
Yeah.
And imagine if that was your son, your father, what are they dying for?
Yeah.
What exactly are they dying for? That line the line of engagement has barely moved for 2 years.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of people dead in trenches for what? And I'll tell you what for what. It's like for the biggest graft machine that I've ever seen in my life. That's for what. It's unreal. Like the amount of money that is being taken in graft and bribery is disgusting. And so what's actually happening is that...
Name the machine. Name the fiat currency generating machine, Elon.
Those people, those poor guys are getting sent into a meat grinder for money. That's what's actually going on.
Yeah.
And it needs to stop.
And that's
for money. And who's benefiting, Elon? Who benefits?
It seems, Trump is so pragmatic on this. He's just looking at it and he's saying, it's Ukraine, it's not our country, it's not a NATO ally. I just want to see people not dying. I want to see on both sides. Think about how so many young men have died in Ukraine that the army is starting to age out. The military is aging out. You got 40 and 50-year-old guys fighting in a war because there's nobody left that's not killed or maimed in their 20s. That's the reality of it. Think about how many people that is. If you're a humanitarian at all, you just got to end the war. No matter what. Just get it over with.
Yes. People, they need to stop dying.
Yeah.
And the grift machine's got to stop, So, and I think people, a lot of people out there don't realize, the president has a lot of empathy. He really cares, He's a good man. So.
I got one more for you.
He cares so much, he put his pen to paper and signed off on a $6.2, not billion, trillion CARES Act that transferred a whole bunch of money from the American people to the big pharma industrial complex, to the corporate elitist, people who are your enemies, people like Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates and Warren Buffett got richer and richer and richer with that wealth transfer. But he's a good guy. He cares about you. He's got a lot of compassion.
I've been fascinated by you for a very long time.
Fanboy.
I've never seen
fanboy alert.
Anybody that can do so many things at the same time. You've got the rockets.
Elon Musk is like, well, that's exactly what I want.
You got the cars. I've always wanted to ask you, what is it like inside your mind? Is it just 1,000 miles an hour? Are you?
What a dumb softball question. You're the genius of the age. Nobody's smarter than you. And I've been a fanboy for quite a long time now. What are the inner workings of an Elon Musk brain? What's going on in there?
Does it ever stop? Do you sleep? How much do you sleep?
Look at this guy.
Paint us a picture of inside of the mind of a genius. Like, how do you do all this? Can you answer that question? It's not an easy question. Yeah.
I mean, my mind is a storm.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it's a storm. But I mean, let me maybe tell you something. Like, you didn't ask the question, but I think it's worth, kind of nonetheless, maybe just elaborating on something, which is, you know, I grew up in South Africa, but my morality was informed by America. I read comic books, you know, I played Dungeons and Dragons, and
My morality was formed by America. Dungeons and Dragons and comic books formed my morality.
And I watched American TV shows, and it seemed like America cared about being the good guys, you know, about doing the right thing. And that's actually pretty unusual, by the way.
Generally, in TV shows and comic books, the moral good guy is the bad guy pretending to be a good guy. Think about it.
Yeah.
It's like
In the world, it's very unusual.
Yeah, it's not like actually.
Most countries don't do that.
No, they don't.
No.
And so I was like, yeah, you know, you want to be this good. You want to be on the side of good. You want to care about what's right, and yeah. So that's
Yeah.
what I believe in. You know. So
I gave you a tough one at the end.
yeah. So yeah.
That's great. That's great. Elon Musk.
Yeah.
All right, thank
Man,
you.
Thank you so much.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Hey guys.
Gotta pick up his chainsaw here. Don't forget your chainsaw, Elon. Gonna cut the bureaucracy. We're cutting the bureaucracy. You better know it.
Sure. Thank you.
Somebody at the very end hands him a painting. Let me go over there. Somebody they bring a painting from the crowd here. I think it's a painting. Looks like somebody painted Elon Musk, the savior of the world. So that's Elon Musk, the savior of the world, Mr. Neuralink, Mr. UBI, Universal Basic Income, Mr. Carbon Credit, Mr. Transhumanism, Mr. World Economic Forum Young Global Leader, Elon Musk. But according to Alex Jones, he's not a globalist. He's not a globalist. Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Thanks for staying with me. Remember, part 2, the link to part 2 will be in the description below. Please like these videos and share these videos so we can get some traction on this channel and let people know that, hey, there is freedom to be had, but it is not found in the left versus right paradigm lie pool. I will see you in the next video.